Okay, so we have a lot to cover today. We are driving into Yosemite National Park. We're getting ready to enter the valley floor, and we're going to be staying at the Yosemite Valley Lodge. So we will be sharing that with you, and we'll share our room with you, and then we'll be having dinner at the Mountain Room restaurant, which we'll also share with you, as well as the Mountain Lounge. Which is a great place for cocktails and dessert and small bites. Then there is also the Base Camp Eatery that we're going to share with you, and that's a great place for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you want to go that route. And otherwise, we are here in the valley floor, and this is Yosemite Falls that we are looking at from the distance. So our first stop is going to be the Yosemite Valley Lodge. We won't be able to check in until 4 o'clock. The nice thing is, if you go check in as soon as you get there, if your room is ready, they will let you have it. They don't have any guidelines on that. If the room is ready, they'll let you in. They did end up letting us get into our room at 3 o'clock, but we actually got there around noontime. And they had another downstairs room that was ready we could have checked into, but we did want to get up on the second floor just because you have nicer balconies that you can actually see the views a little bit better. So we waited till the 3 o'clock check-in. So after we checked in, what they do is they text you or give you a phone call as soon as your room is ready. So what we did is we went and walked up to Yosemite Falls, which is right across the little roadway from the Yosemite Valley Lodge, and we took a lot of pictures and we walked the whole loop, and we ended up killing a couple hours out there until it was time to check into our room. We're heading up to Yosemite Falls right now.
Hey, Lo.
Hey, Ro.
What do you know?
What do you know? We're up here in January. Really a little water. Usually you see a lot of nice river flowing through here. We do have some water in the falls coming up. No snow in the ground either. Usually when we come up here in January, there's like tons of snow all over the place. We're building snowmen. This is crazy. Crazy, crazy weather. While we were there, we had the weather, which was a high of about 54 degrees and a low of 30 degrees at nighttime. Here's Lower Yosemite Falls. matter what time of year or how many times that you've been to Yosemite National Park, it's always absolutely gorgeous and it just never disappoints. And you can take the same photographs over year after year and it always looks different. Yosemite National Park is an absolutely gorgeous park. I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of history and culture. Although Yosemite's history as a natural park goes back more than 100 years, its geologic history is timeless. The human history of Yosemite is no less fascinating. There's a story in every corner of the park. The people of Yosemite's Valley's first residents were American Indians who inhabited the region, perhaps as long as 6,000 years ago. The area was inhabited by people who called Yosemite Valley Owani, which loosely translates into place of a gaping mouth. The discovery of gold in the Sierra Nevada foothills in 1848 brought back thousands of gold seekers to the area. Word of Yosemite's beauty gradually spread, and in 1855, the first party of tourists arrived. The drive for federal protection of the Yosemite region began shortly after the first non-American Indian settlers arrived, and before conservationalist John Muir first visited in 1868. Abraham Lincoln provided this protection when he signed the Yosemite Grant on June 30th, 1864. The grant deeded Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Grove of big trees to the state as California's first state park. However, no such protection existed for the surrounding wilderness. In 1889, John Muir and Robert Underwood Johnson, the influential editor of Century magazine, found the high country overrun with flocks of domestic sheep. Muir urged Johnson to use his influence on key citizens and politicians to help preserve the region. Together they planned a campaign to make the high country surrounding Yosemite Valley into a national park. And while Johnson lobbied for the park, Muir spoke and wrote the need for legislation to designate the land as such. Yellowstone National Park was established in 1872. Remarkably, their efforts were rewarded in just 1 year. On October 1st, 1890, the U.S. Congress set aside more than 1,500 square miles of reserved forest lands, soon to be known as Yosemite National Park. It included the area surrounding Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias. It took a meeting between President Theodore Roosevelt and John Muir in 1903. However, to have Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Grove ceded from the state of California's control and included within Yosemite National Park in 1906. We just got our call from the front desk of Yosemite Valley Lodge, and we had to go back to the front desk, pick up our key, and we just checked into our room. Here's a look at our room. It's simple, but it works. We're here at Yosemite Lodge, and we've got a cute little room. This is a king-size room with a little balcony, and these rooms here at Yosemite Lodge, they're very simple, but they work. We have a little table, a TV, dressers, and here's the little balcony. Have a table and chairs here, and here's our view. And then over here, we have a little bathroom area. Comes with lotion, soap, paper tissues. We've got a mirror. Here we've got a coffee pot and a little refrigerator, little place for your jackets. And then in here, there's a fan, and I don't know what that is. That's a heater or whatever. Anyway, and then in here, you've got a small little shower, but it's doable for one person. Everything is clean. And then over here, you've got your toilet. So this is it, Yosemite Lodge. And this here is on the floor, or the valley floor, inside the valley. And you know what's really nice about it is we can walk to the Mountain Room restaurant. We can walk to the base camp restaurant. And everything is close by. We got a little shuttle that we can use also. Okay, so we are getting ourselves all unpacked, and we've got reservations for the Mountain Room restaurant tonight. And I will show you a little bit of that, and then we'll be stopping over at the Mountain Lounge where we're going to be doing our dessert and our nightcap. So if you'll notice at the Mountain Room restaurant, the big picture window next to us, we've got a view of Yosemite Falls. It's absolutely spectacular. We do like to eat our dinner a little bit early, so we usually have the restaurant to ourselves. But it is January, so the crowds are really small, which is absolutely wonderful. The food and the service over at the Mountain Room was excellent, and I do highly recommend it. Okay, we just got here to the Mountain Lounge, which is right next door to the Mountain Room restaurant, and this is where we decided to have our dessert and our nightcap. So if you notice, we're sitting in the back right now, but as the tables emptied out, we ended up relocating right next to the fire pit, which was our desired destination. Anyway, we had a lot of fun here. Our waitresses, our waiters, and the bartender were fantastic. It was a really good time. Okay, we're up here at the Mountain Tavern in Yosemite National Park, over here at the Yosemite Lodge. So the tavern opens up at 4 o'clock. We have got ourselves a fantastic table with a fire pit. We're having ourselves our espresso martinis, and we've got an apple crisp dessert coming. And we just got done having dinner at the Mountain Room. But this place is actually really cool. And I recommend dessert over here after you have dinner at the Mountain Room. They also have light bites here. But if you want a really nice dinner, I highly suggest the Mountain Room.
And I'm bringing out your beautiful apple crisp.
Oh, and she's bringing it out. And your name again?
My name is Shane. I'm a food runner here at the Mountain Room Lounge in Yosemite National Park. And I'm bringing these lovely folks one of our beautiful apple crisps.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
We can't beat it.
That looks fantastic. Thank you, honey. This here's the apple crisp over at the Mountain Tavern in Yosemite Lodge at Yosemite National Park on the valley floor. This is the little fire keeper. You're like the fire keeper here.
Well, you know, I remember I came here a long time ago and we used to have the fire call.
Yeah, exactly. Like a
Fire over the Christmas.
I can do that.
Well, yeah. There's a fire.
Maybe it is the Native American.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like it.
After a fun evening and a good night's sleep, We get up the next morning and we have breakfast over at the base camp. And that was right across from the parking lot. Quick walk and a nice breakfast. We're here at the base camp eatery in Yosemite. And this is where we're having our breakfast. Already finished up our breakfast. Should have took pictures before. Anyway, has really pretty views. And in fact, this was our view. Huge glass windows, so you're getting views, beautiful views of the valley. And this place is gigantic, so when it gets really crowded in the summertime, there's definitely enough room to house a lot of people. So basically you come to the kiosk, you order your food, and then they'll give you a number, and they'll call you when the food is ready. So you can either dine in or dine out. They have a computer station here. And here's your Starbucks, which is attached to the eatery. A lot of areas for working on your computer. And here's your Starbucks. That's right next, hooked right into the base camp eatery. And here's some, oh, they even have alcoholic beverages here. So they do breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. And here's part of the kitchen. Food's pretty decent. You got breakfast with croissant, bacon, eggs, potatoes, and I think it was like $12.50. The food is really good. You got your coffee and utensil areas and stuff. Great views all the way through. Nice thing about wintertime, I'm going to say it again, it's not crowded. Now, if you imagine this place in spring and summer during the high season, it's packed, but they can definitely handle the crowds. Yeah, this is great for breakfast. And you've got Yosemite Lodge right across walking distance. So straight ahead, that's where we had our room. So we were just walking a short distance to the base camp eatery, and then the mountain room restaurant is right down the hall. We'll walk over there later. Okay, leaving the base camp eatery, you have this big area inside of here, and here's the base camp eatery. You've got the check-in service of the front desk right across the way, and then over here you've got Starbucks. And here you've got the Mountain Room Restaurant. An amphitheater over here. This here's the Mountain Room Restaurant in here. And then over here, right across the way, the Mountain Room Lounge, which I highly suggest in the evening for dessert and a nightcap. And this was the Mountain Room Restaurant. The views in here were fantastic for dinner. Yeah, we really liked both places. The Mountain Room Lounge has a huge, huge fire pit in the center of the room that we had our table by. And these here are the views from all the glass windows that you're getting at the restaurant. It's wonderful. We also had a really nice view of Yosemite Falls from right here too, from our restaurant window. We're gonna take a quick picture of it. Yeah, oh, this is a fantastic view. So this is the view of the falls that we had. Getting too much light right here. Okay, so back to my story. In the early part of the 20th century, the park was under the watch of the U.S. Army's 24th Mounted Infantry and the 9th Cavalry. also known as buffalo soldiers. In the absence of a National Park Service, which wasn't created until 1916, these African American men and other cavalry were charged with the protection of the newly formed Yosemite National Park. News of Yosemite Valley's wonders spread, bringing with it tourists and the need to accommodate them. Hotels were built, crops were planted, and livestock grazed in valley meadows. People camped wherever they could. In the 1920s, nature guides were hired to help educate visitors, and the Field School for Natural History was established to train future interpreters. Here are some of the amazing geologic features that you may have caught your eye around the park. Yosemite's granite continues to expand along joints of fractures in the rock due to internal pressure within the Earth's crust. This process, known as exfoliation, causes slabs of granite to peel off like layers of an onion. And where streams once flowed into the valley, the glaciers left behind dramatic precipices known as hanging valleys. This is noticeable at Bridal Veil Fall and Yosemite Falls. Another formation would be known as sheep rock. These asymmetrical outcroppings of rock resemble sheep feeding in a meadow. An example of this type of formation is Lambert Dome in Tuolumne Meadows. Something else you might notice, which would be called glacial polish and striations, sand and other small abrasives that pressed against the granite under the weight of the glaciers centuries ago cut distinct striations or scratch marks on the rocks, which indicate the direction the glaciers were moving. And then you have the dikes. Rock faces show long white lines that are so straight they resemble street lines. These rocks are rich in feldspar and quartz, which in their fluid state oozed into a crack and solidified millions of years ago. I've got to share these ravens again with you. We were taking pictures over at El Capitan, and we had the truck parked on the side of the road. And these two ravens perched themselves right on the back of our truck, and they were there just kissing each other for the longest time, because we were taking pictures for quite a while, and they stayed the whole time until we had to finally shush them away. But they were so much fun to watch. I don't know if this was mating season or what was going on, but they were just having the time of their life on the back of our truck. Yosemite's range of elevations, from its semi-arid foothills to its snow-capped mountains, supports a habitat distribution that nurtures 37 types of native trees, over 1,000 species of wildflowers, 85 species of mammals, and over 150 species of birds and 33 varieties of reptiles and amphibians. So I'm going to give you a little bit of historical overview about the Indian people that have lived in Yosemite Valley for nearly 4,000 years. Miwok legends tell of the creation of people here and of events that took place long before the coming of non-Indians. And by the late 18th century, it appears that most of Yosemite was populated by southern Miwok people, with central Miwok people utilizing the northern quarter of the park. The lives of Indian people in the Sierra Nevada have changed greatly since the 1790s. When the first influences of non-Indians were felt during the 19th century, Mono Lake, Kutzadukas, people from east of the Sierra Crest, former mission Indians from the Central Coast, and the Chukchansi, Yukuts, and Western Mono people came to live with the indigenous Southern Miwok people of the Yosemite region. California gold rush of 1849 brought thousands of non-Indian miners to the Sierra Nevada. Many miners were ruthless in their search for gold, and thousands of Miwok people were killed or died of starvation. Yosemite Valley was first entered by non-Indians in 1851 by the Mariposa Battalion, a state-sponsored militia. The battalion made 2 attempts to remove the Indian people to the Fresno River Reservation, but those attempts, along with the U.S. Army punitive expedition in 1852, were ultimately unsuccessful in removing the Indian people from the Yosemite region. And when non-Indians began settling in the Yosemite area, life changed drastically for the native residents. Euro-American clothing styles and foods were adopted. Men worked in a variety of jobs, including guides, wrangles, and woodcutters for local non-Indians, and women provided childcare, housekeeping services, and wove baskets to sell to non-Indian residents and visitors. And then after the 1900s, the number of Indian people living in Yosemite began to shrink. The older Indian village was disbanded in the early 1930s, and a group of cabins were established as a new Indian village, with the National Park Service as landlord. With housing more difficult to obtain, fewer Indian people came to Yosemite for employment. The National Park Service gradually dismantled the new village, and the last homes there were razed in 1969. Today, descendants of Yosemite's native people live both nearby and scattered throughout the world. And in 1990, over 400 Indian people resided in Mariposa County and 500 in Tuolumne County. You've been road trekking with Row and Low. I hope you enjoyed our adventure here in Yosemite National Park. It's always a favorite place of ours. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. We always appreciate that. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and happy adventures.